Yes, we're on the late 90s, early 2000s, so Dreamcast, PS2, GameCube, and Xbox.
Mm,
So I know we
man.
all have our babies, so let's start with the youngest one on there, because I feel like this is going to be a topic.
Oh yeah.
The Dreamcast.
I liked the Dreamcast. I wasn't into it when it came out though. Like I liked it, but it was hard to find the stuff here in Texas. I feel like Texas was so Nintendo dominated from my perspective. So it was like Dreamcast stuff. You didn't see it. I knew like a couple kids who had Dreamcast, but for me, that generation started when the Xbox came out. When the Xbox came out, it blew my mind. Like Halo was the game. Oh man.
One of my best memories, like gaming memories, period, is me and my cousin staying up all night doing co-op on the Halo
Hell
campaign.
yeah. Yeah, hell yeah.
And then the next week we did the same thing with Halo 2.
And I
And it
think
was
we
just,
can
that's one of my best memories.
like all agree that we, or at least me and Dreamcast and Dallas, I know you've done some reviews, is like I had the same problem with the SNES. Is I played so many games after that when I was a kid, I didn't play them, but it's like my memory gets confused because I'm old and senile and getting older every day.
Yeah. Well, that was my thing is I didn't play a lot of Dreamcast or PS2 as they were coming out, but then afterward, my thing is I did have a hacked Xbox though that had like every Xbox game in the world. So back in the day, I did play literally every Xbox game that came out. If it was weird, like anybody know what Phantom Dust is?
I've heard of that.
No, I don't think I do anyway.
It's like an action card game. Basically, what it is you set up a series of dusts, which are basically like cards, but then you're dropped into an arena that's like a 3D physical area, and you run around like destroyed highways and blown out cities and stuff, and you use the abilities you've selected. But they're basically like attack cards, defense cards, and movement cards. You can teleport or fly. It had destructible environments, so you're literally blowing up bridges and stuff. And this was on the original Xbox.
I need to find that game. That would have been like one of my, just from the way you describing it, that would have been one of my favorite games.
So a bunch of people at Microsoft liked it so much. A couple of years ago, they bought the rights of it and they remastered it for free on the Xbox One. You can install a remastered version of Phantom Dust now completely for free on Xbox One. They redid the multiplayer because the multiplayer was online back in the day, but it was so broken. People would find the best cards than all the reflectors and just one-shot people. One of the ones was called Amplify, and you'd cut your own health in half and double your attack power, and then you use that 5 times, they're at 1 health, and they hit you for 1 million damage. They fixed a lot of that in the new version, but because I had a hacked Xbox and nothing cost me any money, honestly, I would buy a lot of stuff or I would install a lot of stuff like that I'm glad I did. I feel like it gave me a lot more like wide range of tastes, because if I looked at the back of a box and it said, you play a card game in the apocalypse, I'm like, nerd shit, and I'd keep playing. I'd play Halo.
Yeah. I mean, shit. That sounds like something right. Like, I got a soft spot for card games. It's just every single card I seen that came. I tried to play the Harry Potter card game. Like,
oh wow, that's
every card game that came out during that phase of my life, like I played. And like,
you still haven't added me on Gwent.
Oh, you know what though? Gwent is the games that I haven't been playing.
I played on GOG, so it's okay.
I literally have like the Pokemon trading card game installed right now. I'm like looking right at it. But
nerd.
Because of it, like you describing that makes me think about one of my favorite hidden gems. I think of it as a hidden gem. On GameCube, Bat and Kaitos.
Oh yeah.
Bats and Kaitos is one of those games for me. Like the card battle stuff, like
of course he's just like got it, baby.
Did you ever play there was a Fantasy Star card game. Did you ever play this?
I never played the card game.
No.
It's so bad. So there's 2 separate factions. One has cards. It's the weirdness about it is it's basically Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon, because half the team is using cards, half the team is using monsters, and so you try and systematically play around each other. Let me tell you, this game sucks. You can find it for like $6, I think. I tried to do a Let's Play of it years and years ago. There's like 1 episode, and I'm like, nope.
Bye.
You know what? Sometimes though, like, okay, so another game that was super cheap, that was a card game. You remember Duel Masters?
Yeah.
Like, I remember finding that for PS2 for like $2 one day. And when the game first came out, I played it. I watched the anime when the anime came out. Like it wasn't all that great, but the game was fun. And it was like Magic the Gathering, like kind of like so like just the same way like Magic has like land cards and like different mana cards and you tap the card, use the mana. It was that exact same thing only for kids. And they had a game on PS2 that was actually pretty fire if you play the card game. If you don't, you may as well leave it be. But if you play the card game, it was pretty good.
Hey, Dallas, can I make a suggestion? You should do a card game series on your channel if you're not already. Like, I feel like you're very passionate about it. I like the way that you explain it. You could call it like all the card games I've loved before and show us like the history of card games and how they've all. Honestly, I'm super enamored. I'm very interested in what you're talking about, man.
I think I'll do that. Like the video I was editing as we were getting ready to start the podcast was an unboxing of. Since we're showing stuff, an unboxing of a card game. This is actually Texas made too, by the way. Heroes of Levendale. I met them at PAX South, and they have a pretty good game. Like I don't even know how to describe this game to you other than like a family-friendly medieval game of like puns. And so they have a
kind of like Hearthstone,
spaces.
but better because Hearthstone is a hot mess sometimes.
Kind of like when I say puns, let me see if I can find any one of these cards like these.
Tilt it right or left.
It's so blown out.
Oh yeah, up a little more.
It's called Dragon Ball, like it's a dragon crying.
That's pretty good. All right,
or like the Luchador Juan Cena. Like,
I like that. I like that.
So like you get the point, and it's like there's 9 spaces for cards. You know, left hand, right hand, middle, left foot, right foot, tail.
Oh, that's like that. Interesting. So it's like an equipment system. Okay.
And you build your armor and play with each thing has like attack or defense, and you add that to your attack, and it's a pretty fun game. I just finished editing an unboxing video that's coming out on the site pretty soon. And it's one of those things. Like if I can find a couple people that might want to play, I'll do a gameplay video too. I don't know if y'all down or not.
Hey, if I can get the cards up here in Canada, I'm down to play.
Right. When quarantine ends, I'm down for anything.
Or we could do Tabletop Simulator. If they have it on there, we can play on some tabletop.
That's right. By the way, this is Phantom Dust. By the way, if you ever want to find a physical copy of it, it's more expensive now.
I've seen that cover.
Yeah, it's one of those weird games that was it's sold so bad that now collectors like idolize it.
Yeah.
But you know, we have one of the best places in the world, Movie Trading Company. We can come across anything.
I got so much there, and they would undercut prices so bad by accident because it was just random employees. They'd put like $100 games out for $9 sometimes and stuff.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Let's not give them the game for free, but you know.
No.
Yeah.
So the best, I'm going to go through
pretty good gameplay.
A quick list of the best Dreamcast games that aren't on other consoles. Space Channel 5. That's a weird game. I played that. Choo Choo Rocket. Yep.
Choo Choo Rocket.
Dead or Alive is on other consoles. Code Veronica.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And that was as well, but they actually edited the cutscenes. So, in my opinion, Code Veronica and Dreamcast is the true version.
It's completely different.
You mean Resident Evil 3?
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, that's
Fantasy Star Online, Skies of Arcadia, Shenmue,
the best.
Virtua Tennis, Jet Set Radio, and Jet Grind Radio.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Crazy Taxi and Soul Calibur.
Do y'all remember?
oh, that laugh though.
Because this is like one of the Dreamcast games I vividly remember, and I'm pretty sure it was on some other console at the time. But do y'all remember Max Steel?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Man, so like my first memory of the Dreamcast was playing a demo, like a Max Steel demo at a GameStop.
Oof.
And I remember because like it was, I used to watch that show. I used to watch that show a lot because I was a little creep. I was a little nerd creep. And so
what changed?
I watched the little nerd creep weird stuff.
Yeah, and here we are today.
Hey, right.
Yeah, man, I had so many great memories of I got a lot of the peripherals and stuff, and right after high school, I got a lot of the peripherals for Dreamcast. So a lot of my favorite memories were just kind of figuring them out. Like in the early internet era, it was hard to find that stuff. I didn't know what was. I didn't know about the Japanese exclusive peripherals and stuff, but I got the Dreamcast steering wheel. One of my favorite memories of my little brother. My little brother and I always been terrible enemies, beat each other up our whole lives. And my favorite memory ever with him is there was a time where I came home and he had constructed. He got like a milk crate, and he managed to set the milk crate up like a couple milk crates above each other. And he put the pedals in the bottom crate and the steering wheel on the top. And he basically made like a little car of Crazy Taxi. We just played Crazy Taxi together for like 10 hours. And it was one of those like super awesome, like wholesome, like bro, you get me? All right, now let's just drift. It was so fun. So fun.
That's dope.
That's so cute.
That's dope as hell, right?
Oh, it got me in the I look back at it, I'm like, man, if I could relive one day forever, it'd be that one.
Yeah. I think, though, Jet Set Radio and Shenmue are probably the games that the Dreamcast is known for. The Dreamcast got an early death that it didn't deserve.
Don't forget Sonic. Don't forget Sonic.
I feel like Sonic Adventure is very overlooked compared to this. I think she's right for sure. Yeah, Jet Grand Radio was very influential on like I feel like it was one of the first like games where the soundtrack was practically a character. So much so that if you play Jet Grind Radio and then Jet Set Radio Future, you'll notice that it's almost the same soundtrack. They were just like, all right, we perfected it. Just make more tracks, add on to that.
Yeah, it ain't broke.
God, and it's still like we've been talking about consoles that don't really age well, but I think maybe it's the cell shading of Jet Set Radio and Jet Grind Radio that lends it to not being dated, but it's so good. But I think my favorite game on Dreamcast is Shadow Man, and it's been on other consoles too, but Shadow Man was so good. A little janky, but so good.
I like that a lot. Aren't they doing like a Shadow Man remastered right now or something?
Yeah, that's in the works, but I'm like, please don't. There's some games that just... I'll go back to the N64 era. Perfect Dark. I don't think people remember how weird that story was and how awful that game was.
Nah, Jet Force Gemini.
Jet Force Gemini, yeah. I played Perfect Dark's multiplayer a lot, and then later on, like when I finally got a Nintendo 64, I played single player, and I was like, what the hell is Joanna Dark secret agent fighting evil corporation? Like, what? I'm 9,
and then the aliens at the end.
Yeah. Just like, and then, did you ever play Perfect Dark Zero on 360?
Yeah.
It's definitely considered to be one of the worst games ever, but I was very interested in the physics of it, how all the bad guys basically wear like glass armor, so as you're shooting them, they're crumbling. It was just like, what is going on in this world? Like, do you not have anybody testing anything in your universe? I love it.
Nope.
How do they bring up Spider-Man?
I don't like the early Spider-Mans. I'll admit, I'm obsessed with Spider-Man, especially the comics, but I think the early Spider-Man games are not. I mean, the technology was not there.
Yeah,
Spider-Man
the game
3
was trash, but it's definitely like I played it a lot on 64. And it's definitely like one of my fondest 64 memories playing games with my little brother. Like
Spider-Man 3 was that shit for me.
So yeah, Spider-Man 2 and 3, though, those were the open world ones where you could actually swing. They're kind of primitive by current standards, but the fact that you could save people falling from buildings and stuff, you could actually be Spider-Man. That's where I started like, all right, the tech, you have to be able to see the ground. The early ones where you're like in a cloud barrier and you can only see the tops of buildings, that was not. But once they started having an open world, I love it.
I'll tell you, once you go back and play the Commodore 64 versions of those, you appreciate those so much because the Commodore 60 version, they suck.
Oh God, I've seen pictures of it. I've never played those.
They're so
talking about Spider-Man. It gets me wondering about like what games can be or what games will be at some point, because like you said, like with the earlier Spider-Man games, the technology just wasn't there.
Yeah.
And then fast forward to like Spider-Man PS4 and a game like Arkham Knight. And like Arkham Knight, just the Arkham series, period. Like in the Arkham series, you are Batman. Like there's no distinction. You are Batman. And I use Arkham Knight specifically because you have the Batmobile too. Like, and in Spider-Man, it makes you feel as if you are Spider-Man. And just there was these rumors about the Superman game. Obviously canceled now, but what do y'all think a Superman game would have been? Like it's so much that can probably be done now that couldn't before.
I'm a big super fan of the Superman comics. You don't ever see it in my videos, but I have a giant Superman poster above my computer. I feel like a good Superman game would be half Clark Kent, half Superman. I feel like you got to really kind of show the human side of him. So I think it'd be interesting to if they did it right, I think it'd be like Batman in that you'd be investigating one case, like one murder, and you'd have to ask questions and try and confront like Lex Luthor, and then you'd be Superman and like stop a shipment of petroleum that's being shipped, like nuclear weapons or something. I think you'd have to go back and forth of the way Arkham Asylum, or what is it, Arkham City started you as Bruce Wayne at the start, and then you became Batman. I think you have to go back and forth. That's the only way you could do it right. If you were just flying around super punching aliens, people would be like, okay, this isn't fun.
In the same way that, like, say in Telltale Batman, they have moments where it's like, would this be best if I like went in as Batman, or like Bruce Wayne could actually like that Clark Kent and Superman, like making it one of those things where the narrative moves forward according to what you end up doing and as which personality you do it as, but there's reason to do it as either.
Yeah, I would love it, man. I'm getting myself excited for a game that doesn't exist.
Right? I also think that if we were to have a Superman game, it would need to, and this is the problem, is it would need to have a handicap of some kind.
Yeah.
Like, Superman is so powerful that he would need a handicap, but what would be the handicap?
I don't know. You might not need a handicap. Like,
you would need to, because
there's things in the DC universe that could be just as powerful as Superman, and if you made it a narrative thing, then you could get by with it being an amazing game and still not having to be less powerful than anything.
Then I'll pitch it right now. Here's the perfect Superman game. We're gonna call it Countdown to Darkseid. He's investigating the case. It's Clark Kent. He starts to hear these rumors that Lex Luthor is working on a super collider that may open a dimension to far off space. Superman has a vision of the future that Darkseid's going to come here and terraform the Earth and make it apocalypse. So you have to go back and forth playing as Clark Kent, investigating this, trying to politically stop this with your journalistic pieces to get them to stop the research on the super collider. But if it doesn't, as Superman, you're also trying to make sure you're saving crime, fighting the monsters that are coming through the early test portals, and simultaneously getting yourself ready for when apocalypse does actually happen. Boom, there we go. That's how you do the Superman game.
And that could work, because not even Superman can be in two places at once. So if I need to be here at this thing to get this piece of evidence, I have to choose between that or saving this thing over here that's important. It could work.
And there would be playthroughs called Clark Kent only playthroughs, where they just walk around behind glass and be like, excuse me, but according to Proposition 5, you're not properly zoned for a super collider.
But do you guys think
beat the game either way?
You would run into something, and I talked about this when we were talking about the gameplay from the Avengers, is there's a whole bunch of people that have only watched the movies of Avengers. So when they play the game, they're going to be like, this doesn't follow the movies, I don't like it, kind of thing.
Yeah,
like
that's fine. I don't think it matters. A good game is a good game.
A good game is a good game, but there's going to be people that, this isn't the Avengers I know, this isn't the Superman I know, I don't follow the comics, so I only want the comics.
Spider-Man was Spider-Man. We knew.
That's what I was going to say. If it's done really top notch, people will accept it. But yeah, definitely, I think that's the big problem. Like, a lot of the storylines that are going on in the Batman comics are so dark and so crazy. Like Darkest Night, like here's a multiverse of all of Batman's sins, like that have become super monsters. It's like
the Batman who laughs.
Yeah, exactly. You could never make a video game about that, which kind of sucks because it'd be cool. And the reason why is that if you put that in a video game, the fans wouldn't accept it. They'd be so confused, they'd be so lost. Like, but Batman's a good guy. Batman saves kittens. It's like, no, Batman has caused like 1 billion deaths by accident, bro. Batman cruises around space sometimes.
But if it's good enough, I mean, but what you just said is a reason. That's exactly what the studios would say to themselves, and that's why the game would happen. And that's the sad thing. Maybe we got to just get out here and get rich and just start making this stuff ourselves.
Yeah, I'm trying. I got some script written. I do want to make my own game, but it ain't going to be that big and crazy.
I'll play it. I mean, that Superman student project game is now on Steam. I don't know if it's anywhere else, but the one where those, I think it was, oh god, I know I'm going to mess this up, Taiwan, they were making a student project game for their class of Superman and limitations, and they pretty much, it was in the news 3-4 months ago. They programmed a great game, but then it never went further, and then that demo is now on Steam, and I'm like, yes, this could be a good Steam
I forget what it's called, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I forget what the game was called.
I want to say Unleashed, but that's...
But it's like a dude in like some jeans and a black shirt with
Black
like
shirt,
Superman powers.
Yep.
Yeah. I can't remember the name of it. But while we're talking about this comic book stuff, y'all have a favorite comic book?
I mean, I'm obsessed with the Spider-Verse comics. I think they're some of the best writing ever. They're funny. They're rewarding. They manage to do stuff. But I also like the Spider-Gwen, you know, the multiverse where it's Gwen Stacy becomes it, and Peter Parker, she ends up having to kill Peter Parker because Peter Parker becomes the Lizard in her universe.
Yeah.
I love the Spider-Man story so much. I like that. I feel like so many other superheroes, they're the superhero and they put on the character of I'm being a normal dude. Like Tony Stark is a character. Iron Man is who he actually is now. I like that in the Spider-Man comics, Peter Parker is a person who has to become Spider-Man. So I'm so obsessed with Spider-Man comics.
I would say the last, like, I haven't really read comics in a while, but the last ones I have read are like the Mass Effect ones, because I just like the stories in the Mass Effect comics compared to like what's in the games. So I'm not the person to ask for this one. Just like Meek's not the person to ask for anime.
Anime, yeah. Well, my most recent comic that I read was Obey Me.
Yes.
They did like a comic prequel series to like 6 parts, I think, to that's probably the most recent that I read. But as far as favorites, I have like a top 3. The third one would have to be Invincible. If you ever heard of Invincible, it's like,
I have heard, yep.
It's really good. Number 2 would be Fables.
That's really good too. I go back and forth since they changed the main character so much. It whiplashes me some, but I like Fables.
And I need to catch up. I read pretty far in, but I need to catch up. But it's definitely like probably my number 2. At the time I started reading it was also the time that like Once Upon a Time came out.
Yeah.
And I was like, which one of these do I want to do? And Fables just happened to have been the better story to me.
Yeah.
And my favorite, actually, my most favorite of all time thus far, believe it or not, is Sandman.
Oh, Sandman. Yeah, Sandman's good. I'm really into did you ever read Preacher?
Oh, Preacher is good.
Yes.
Preacher is really
I thought if I ever got a tattoo of a comic book character, it'd be the Saint of Killers. There's so the idea of like this Western dude with melted down guns of the Angel of Death just shooting people so hard their soul dies.
My God. And that's all he is. Like, it's literally, this is what you are for. This is what
that great quote when he's walking to the Vatican, he's just killing like thousands of Vatican guards at once, and the Pope goes like, "Oh, dead yet?" He goes, "No, he's not." He goes, "Okay, then drown him in your blood." Like that line of like, he's just so powerful. Like, just pile your body so high you can't get through the door. I just, oh my God.
But you know what? You're right. Preacher is really good, and I watched the show, and the show is pretty good too. But it's nowhere near as good as the comic.
No,
I don't watch TV. I have a weird thing. I can't watch TV. Like something about, I don't know. TV feels too constrained. Like TV has to be 22 or 42 minutes. I like that video games can be 1 hour or 100 hours. I like that comic books can be 11 pages or 400 pages. I'm really into books. I like that those are art forms that are more free form. Television feels so like limited. I can't take it.
It really does.
Sometimes you get something special. Sometimes
you do.
Like that's why I was talking about Castlevania. Castlevania was special. Black Mirror is special.
Well, The Witcher was really good.
The Witcher. Love, Death, Robots.
I don't want to sing that song because this might get copyright struck since the freaking bots are so bad about it. But The Witcher song.
To your Witcher. Yeah, that's.
I did it. I flipped a sample of that song too. By the way, it's crazy.
It's so good.
But like, I don't watch a lot of TV either. I think most of us here are the same way.
Don't like
but
TV.
Every now and then, like I am also like interested in filmmaking though, and every now and then something across like where it's just special and I have to watch it. Like Lil Dicky had that show Dave. Dave is freaking fun. Dave is an amazing show. and like it's one of those that's just it's special for no reason.
It's
Well-
it's so funny. It's so heartfelt. It's so focused. I like how each character gets their own story. Like Gata having the whole episode about being bipolar. Like, man, I legit cried at that episode. I'm not ashamed to admit, like, it was so powerful just seeing people be like nobody cares, Gata. We love you. I was like,
Yeah.
I love Gata.
Like
What do y'all? I don't watch TV, and I'm definitely not gonna watch it as it comes out. But HBO has been max promoting the Schneider cut of Justice League.
yeah, I'm watching it.
I'm watching that for
not
sure.
even going.
I'm gonna pirate it, but I'm gonna get it somewhere else.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, that same week, I'm playing Arkham Knight in the Batman v Superman armor and Batmobile.
Nice. Yeah, I was a big follower. I've been following the Snyder Cut like stuff for the last couple of years because I actually didn't hate the movie, but
Me
I like
either.
the Justice League comics are good and so different. I like the old Justice League animated show, so it was weird. I felt like the movie managed to be so original in its focus, but if you see the deleted footage, there was like evil Superman in a black suit going into a like a pit of skulls and stuff. Clearly, they
Yes.
shot like tons of extra stuff. So I like that they're already saying. Aren't they? They already said that the movie's gonna be like 4 hours total. I'm like, yeah, bro, pour it into my
I'm here
eyeball.
for it. Like I feel
Yeah,
like
I'm here.
I'm one of the few people. Like I liked Suicide Squad mainly because I can just turn my brain off and I just want to enjoy things. But like Suicide Squad wasn't that bad. Birds of Prey, I
Not
haven't
everything
seen
has
it
to be
yet,
a thing.
wasn't that bad.
I loved Birds of Prey. I legitimately think Birds of Prey is interesting though because there's like no superpowers. It's interesting that it's like a DC movie that takes place in the DC universe. One person uses a yell once, but the whole movie is just people walking around beating the hell out of gangsters. It has some of those. I feel like hard fight scenes to shoot are wide camera angles where you can see like that's actually
Yes.
Harley Quinn actually flipping around on trucks and stuff. So good. It's so I watched it in theaters and I was just like, I need to put this on Blu-ray instantly.
I
I
haven't
think
seen
people
Birds of
forget
Prey
that.
yet.
It's
I think it bombed financially. I think nobody saw it. It's so even if you just mute it for some reason and watch it as a action movie, it is a freaking great action movie. At one point, she walks into a police department with like a shotgun of dummy ammo and just like it goes super slow mo. She's shooting people, flipping over people. At one point, she like bends the guy over a shotgun, shoots him, and makes him do a couple front flips and stuff. She does a line of cocaine and goes back to killing like 10 people. And she's like, it's the truest form of Harley Quinn that has ever been committed to film, and I'm blown away that they managed to do it.
I think also it bombed because it was at that right point when everything was starting to shut down. So
Yeah, well, it was that, and I do think that they were wrong. I think if you're gonna have a good action movie, people get mad if you come out there and be like, "This is the women's action movie." Like this is the women. Like people get mad about that. So it's like,
But
just,
you know
just
what?
put it out. Just release it. Don't say that. Just release it. It's a great movie. Who cares?
That's really what I want people to start doing. Because these days, if you like, you can't say anything. You just have to. If it's good, if it's genuinely a good piece of art, just put it out.
Yeah.
Because if you go, oh, this is for women, then everybody's gonna be like, oh, well,
that's what happened to Charlie's Angels.
Like, yeah, that like it sucks. It's wet.
Then people loudly don't watch it. They're like,
Yep.
"Here's another day of not watching it." You know, it's like,
Yeah,
oh, no.
like, put so
Captain
many black
Marvel.
people in it, and it's like, oh
Yeah.
no.
I watched Captain Marvel twice the opening weekend. I actually
It's
really
really good.
I like it though because it feels like such a '90s movie. It feels like they shot it
So
in
good.
'90s. It has
Yes.
such a '90s like style of joke and pacing and stuff. But I feel like if you're not in the mood for that, I definitely saw some people be like, it's really weird and stilted. It's like, I mean, it's a '90s movie. They just happened to release it in 2019.
Right.
People don't get
That
it.
being said, I'm not really that big a fan of Brie Larson, like as Captain Marvel. But
She's
then
hit or
again,
miss
I don't
sometimes.
know who I'd have.
I
Yeah.
think the only thing is, it seems like they may have shot stuff too out of order because sometimes her emotional range in scenes was weird. Like sometimes she would like be in a sad part and smiling, and then sometimes she's in a happy part and frowning. And it's like I think they shot these out of order and just kind of because it's all, let's face it, it's all on green screen. They're not really spending that time in alien spaceships and stuff. So, like
Yeah.
it seems like certain scenes they would all right, just get this reaction spot and put it there.
Yeah, pretty
And
much.
stuff like that's why I care about the Snyder Cut. I want to see what you intended to begin with.
Even if it's bad, it's gonna be so cool.
Right?
That's how I feel about games. Like I want games. Like that's why I don't feel like anybody's art should be censored. But when it comes down to it, especially games, I want to see what you intended for us to play. I want to play it on the settings you intended. Don't give me a super hard mode. Don't give me a super easy mode. I'll touch that after I beat the normal game that you intended for me to play.
That's why I'm excited in Cyberpunk. I just want to customize my dong.
Yeah, exactly.
Give me that dong.
I want to not be able to sprint because I'm tripping over my 80-inch dick. I mean, I want to grow in that game.
Like, whoa,
drunk dragging on the ground. I'm like, wait up! I have to stop these burglars. Car, come help!
What's up, long
Maybe you
dong?
understand how I feel in real life.
I'm gonna make
Bitch, don't even play. Millimeter Peter.
Every time I switch my gun, I switch my dick. I'm like, all right, I have to do this. It's the rules.
Right?
It's the rules you got to match.
Bigger gun, bigger dick. That's science.
It's science.
It's a
I mean, you know, that's how robotics work.
How am I gonna go? How am I gonna go into this?
Oh my god! Like you and Fame's normal conversation.
And that's why I'm so fascinated about cyberpunk, is I've read a lot of cyberpunk books. I'm like familiar with cyberpunk like mythology, so it's going to be so interesting. And yeah, that's the ultimate thing of, I'm glad anytime people have tried to complain about a particular part of the art, the developers have been very clear, being like, we're a big diverse studio with a lot of different visions in mind, and we're perfectly keeping it intact. And if there's any part that manages to offend you or make you mad personally, like, that's fine. We're still going to sell 80 million copies, and we own our own storefront. We get 100% of the money. You know, like, we're making our perfect game. That's so fascinating.
And the best part is, like, the creator, Mike Pondsmith, is like, I wish I would stop telling me what I'm supposed to be offended by. Like, the stuff y'all saying offends people. You say, oh, well, they misrepresent black people. Guess what? I'm a black man. I created the game.
I think people forget that.
It was like, this is a weird interpretation of Haitian culture. It's like, okay, well, it was written by Haitians, so I mean, I don't know what to do.
I love the people that complain about stuff like the Haitian thing have never once interacted with a Haitian. It's like, you can't complain when you've never done that or talked to anybody from that.
I mean, I appreciate that you're trying to do something that you can help me, but
you can't be outraged just to be outraged.
Well, I think,
like Mike said, if you want to help, how about you tell your uncle, like your racist uncle, to shut up for once?
Yeah, or that's the thing I feel like a lot of people need to. In media now, I think a lot of people need to realize you don't always have to have an opinion. Like, sometimes something happens and it's like, I just don't know. If someone's like, oh, this came out, is this offensive or not? It's like, I don't know. I don't have an opinion. I'm not informed enough, straight up, and that's fine. It's okay to not have an opinion.
Yeah, exactly. People don't understand it. Like, on all of the internet, people don't get, like, if you don't feel anything about it, it's okay. You don't have to say, and if you do feel something about it, you don't have to say everything you feel that you feel it.
Well, there's too many blue hairs out there that want to put their opinions out there. It's like, no, you don't need to. It's okay.
I need to be a champion. I need to defend the internet.
And I mean, sometimes that's needed. So every now and then, people might dogpile on something that doesn't deserve it, and that's when you do it. But I don't know. People always use their powers for evil, though. You know how they go.
I mean, they also do it for good, too. I don't know. I've been really fascinated by... I still have not seen Battle Angel Attila, and there's that huge Attila 2 movement, and that those people are so... I mean, I'm genuinely impressed by these people, because it's millions and millions of people who show... I bought 3 copies of it on Blu-ray. I show it to my friends. Like, if somebody's having a birthday coming up, I'll give them a gift, and I'll also send them a code for Attila. Like, people are really saying, like, okay, this totally bombed in theaters, but, like, this is a female-led action movie in a sci-fi universe that needs to be explored. Like, we need to spend money and support that. So it's, I don't know, I like that kind of stuff where people are like, this is art that got overlooked unfairly. Like, let's champion art. I don't know. I love that stuff too.
Like, and that's how people like us make it. Like, somebody might be like, hey, I want to make this thing, and we'll go head first in it and try to make it the best thing it could be. And it could flop, but people that recognize that we made it the best thing it could be, and it might actually be really good, will take it and run with it. And they'll support it.
That's part of, like, I'm sure you know, Flora, you play a lot of retro games, and there's always that fun thing of you play a bad retro game, but you see what they're going for, and it's almost more fun. It's like, okay, this is broken and the mechanic makes sense, but damn it, they tried. Like, that's so cool. People sat down and, like, were probably so excited, even writing the code, being like, this is really a game where, like, we mess with physics in every level, and it, like,
this is gonna be great. Yeah,
that's so fun to me. I don't know. I get it's almost like the fun of like history.
I played recently on the PSP Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex. It's a god-awful game, but I can see what they were going for. And I appreciate what they were going for. But it just didn't end well.
That's how I feel. Did you ever play? There's a third game in the Parasite Eve trilogy that nobody talks about, which is on PSP. It's called Third Birthday.
I was actually going to play that next.
It's a third-person shooter. Nobody says Parasite Eve is like Gears of War. The main character has amnesia, so she doesn't even talk about the previous games. Super weird, kind of awful, very, very hated, but I kind of love it just because I'm like, somebody had to do it. Like, if they didn't rename it, it's probably what they had to do to get the budget to make it. Maybe Square Enix was like, we're not putting Parasite Eve on a box, but they're like, we're making this great game, and it has like this great homage on the box art itself to Parasite Eve 1 and stuff.
Yep.
I don't know, it's one of these where I'm like, all right, as bad as it is, as janky as it is, as horrible as the writing is,
great.
It's better that it exists than it got deleted.
Right. When's your DoorDash coming?
I know, right? I still haven't ordered it. I was going to press order now.
Oh, order. And then we can fly through these PS2.
Go ahead and keep reading. I'm going to press it. I have the thing where they just leave it at my door. I'll track it and I'll grab it whenever I got to grab it.
God, I love that feature. Just leave it on my door. Don't talk to me.
I know. Normally I do like to thank them, but yeah, I now since the pandemic, I'm definitely just like drop it off.
Onimusha 2.
Jube Yagyu.
Jube.
And these are two of my favorites, Matrix Path and Neo.
Now, the Matrix.
When you just talked about how
janky as hell on PC though.
And it's like, I see what you was going for. Like, it might be badly implemented, but it's like, I see what you were going for. The Matrix, full of those things.
God, yes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It was one of the first things where, that I can remember outside of, like, maybe games like Ocarina of Time, where there's, like, one hub area and you look out and decide which area you wanted to go to complete missions. It was one of the first, like, I'd never seen anything that did something as detailed as like the Merovingian mansion, like where all the weapons are on the wall of the staircase.
Yeah, you're literally down.
Yeah.
Each one had their own moveset. There was a lot of different weapons and they all had a moveset.
Yeah.
And these are weapons like people might not ever touch. Like, think about how much went into making something that somebody might not ever see.
Oh, I don't think we want to get into that because I can stand on my soapbox and rant for hours about so much detail that went into things that people don't notice.
Oh, I know. And I feel bad sometimes when I get a chance to talk to game developers. Sometimes they talk about these like huge amount of work they made for a system that nobody even looked at. Like, oh, we wanted to make this underlying morality system. So if you do these side quests, it affects this. And it's like, what? Like, I never even realized there's only one ending. So it didn't really affect that much. It's like, oh.
Before I get into the PS2, top PS2 games, I was talking to a dev on Red Dead Redemption 2, and the cans you pick up in the beginning when you're at the Adler Ranch, just in the first 30 minutes, just those cans took hours to model and you never see them. And I'm like, oh, I feel bad because I didn't even pay attention to those. But you spent like 6 hours modeling one can. I'm so sorry. I feel bad. I shouldn't, but I do.
Because you notice you can see like the sunlight coming from the other side of their ears and like they kind of glow because you can see
the horse testicles.
Oh, everybody knows that. You know if it's about balls, you know. It's not going unnoticed.
There was a really interesting thing that I really liked, which is there was a bunch of talk. If you beat Left 4 Dead 2, it unlocks a mode where you can walk through the levels and all the zombies are gone, and the developers talk you through it. So it's like a director's commentary of the levels, and they talk about all the problems they had while they were making it. And one of the ones was walk animation. They're like, we tried to find the perfect walk animation, and people, the problem is that if you don't do a walk animation right, people can't even tell you that it's wrong. They don't understand what's wrong, but they're playing the character and like, this character sucks, but I don't know why. Like something about this character. So like we just spent hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of making how wide their sense is and who would walk faster and how much you lean while hurt. And should the zombies walk more human if they're closer to infection, or should they all have the same gait? And they're talking about there's like hundreds of hours of research and testing and thousands of hours of coding and stuff. And you're not supposed to to notice it. It's supposed to be invisible. And it's once you hear it, you're like, damn, I respect the fact that you do that.
Right? Like, we'll go back to
I
Red
think
Dead.
that's-
Red Dead is so, and that was a problem for a lot of people, was just so over animated that a lot of people had an issue with. But some of the small things in there.
Over-animated?
Oh yeah, because I mean, there's
I
so
would
much
find it-
animation that once you start, like, at least on PC, once you start doing things, it kind of takes a second or two to kick in before the animation starts because it
I think
has
that's
to
part of
go
the
through
point,
another
though.
animation. Huh?
I think not a part of the point. Like to me, that's one of the things that make it feel good, if that makes any sense.
That's
Like
the
authentic,
point.
quote unquote.
Exactly.
Like, yeah, it's part of the
But
point. It's part of what made the game Red Dead Redemption 2.
exactly, that's the thing. But for some people, it's like there's so much animation that it has to get through so much before it gets to what you want. Like, that was the big
Like
issue
my
when it
little
was
brother,
porting to PC, was it needed to, like, the controller reaction time, or what your input reaction time was 2 or 3 seconds delay. It still is, because it needs to do all through the animations to do the animation you want it to do.
I think like okay, so earlier when I was saying like playing what the dev intended, like my little brother wasn't able to get Red Dead Redemption 2. I ended up getting it day one. And I remember the next day after playing it and kind of describing it to him, I told him like, you are not playing as Arthur Morgan. You are living Arthur Morgan's life. And like I think that's the point. If you go in feeling as if like, or with the perspective of playing as Arthur Morgan, you might be disappointed. At that point, the game is over animated. If you go in with the perspective of I'm living Arthur Morgan's life, you're not thinking about that. You just living his life.
Yeah. That's the way I felt. I didn't Skyrim day one. I got Skyrim about 2 weeks after it came out, and one of my friends bought it day one, and he'd come to work every day, and he's like, "Bro, it's a game where like I was walking along, and there was a river, and I grabbed a fish out of the river, and I walked over to a fire, and I cooked the fish, and I ate it, and it made me good." And I'm like, "What the fuck is this game?" And it's like, "Oh, that's
Right?
the artist's vision. The artist's vision is like, we're gonna make an RPG about dragons, but also fishing."
Yeah, you
Right?
just live your life. I think that's the greatest thing ever, and that's one of the reasons I'm excited for Cyberpunk. I'm not excited to play Cyberpunk 2077. I'm excited to live in the Cyberpunk world.
Same with The Witcher. Like, when they finally brought it to fruition, it's like, oh, okay, this is the game. I like that. But let's get into these PS2 games before the sushi comes. So I'm gonna read through just some of the biggest titles: Beyond Good and Evil, Bully, Champions of
Bully.
Noroth.
Ooh, but look, Beyond Good and Evil 2 just kind of disappeared on us, didn't it?
Yeah, right.
Still in kind of. We don't talk about that. Dark Cloud 2, Devil May Cry, Devil May Cry 3, Dragon Quest, Final Fantasy,
Devil May Cry.
God Hand. It's a great game that everybody overlooks. It's weird as shit. God of War
Oh, yeah.
in God of War 2, San Andreas, Vice City, God of War, or Grand Theft Auto 3, Gran Turismo 3 and 4, Grim Grimoire. I don't know if anybody's played that. That's a good one. Guitar
I've
Hero.
never heard of that.
Oh, it's so good. So good. If you love RPGs, yep. The Jack series, Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, Manhunt, Maximo, Ghost of Glory, Max Payne, Mercenaries.
Manhunt 2 was fire too. Like
Mhm.
Manhunt 2 was underrated, but we'll continue.
Monster Rancher, Odin Sphere, Onimusha 2, Prince of Persia: Sand of Time, Psychonauts, Ratchet and Clank, Resi 4, Sakura Wars. Here, I said that wrong. Sakura Wars, Shadow of Colossus, Persona 3, Silent Hill 2, Sly Cooper 3, and Thievis Raccoonus, SOCOM, Spider-Man 2, SXS 3, XSS Tricky, Star Ocean Till the Ends of Time, Starfront Battlefront, Suikoden 3, The Warriors, one of my favorite, Time Splitters 2, Tomb Raider Anniversary, Splinter Cell Chaos Theory, Pro Skater 3, Transformers, Twisted Metal Black, Beautiful Joe 1 and 2,
Ooh.
and who cares about those other games?
While
Yeah,
we
man.
in
I went through a lot.
while we on this generation, I kind of want to have a shout out for Halo. I want to have a shout out for Jade Empire.
Jade Empire,
KOTOR.
underrated,
Yes.
underrated as hell.
BioWare, beautiful, underrated game.
KOTOR, absolutely.
Mhm.
There was a couple more. We already talked about Jet Set Radio Future, but that's one of them. And Gaiden.
I feel like we all, it's probably one of the most influential games of all time. Grand Theft Auto 3, Vice City, and San Andreas, like they invented the ideas of so much stuff of like, I feel like quest hubs are a big deal of like going to back to the same place over and over again to do missions and stuff. They have like concepts. If you look at the scripts, there's been like physical printouts of the scripts. It's hundreds and hundreds of pages of dialogue that's jokes and topical humor and weirdness and side quests and I'm just going to become a cab driver for a week. Like that game, I mean, it invented so many things that just everybody had to copy. Like they wrote the freaking book on it. So everybody, I feel like that was growing up has some sort of like crazy GTA memories of like sitting down with your buddies, putting some cheat codes and just sniper rifling people at a mall or something.
Yep. Oh man, GTA. I mean,
talking
San
about
Andreas
that-
was that game that I would make sure I drove extra slow to get to the mission objective just so I can hear the end of the song. Because the songs were so good.
That and that weird feeling when you find a car that you actually love, where you have a car that's like the color you like and you drive it and you find yourself driving it carefully, like I want to survive to the mission. I know this
Right?
ride is fast. I know it's good. So you're like actually be like, okay, park
Yeah.
it. Oh, back up, back
Oh.
up. Okay, get the mission.
Yep.
For
I mean,
real.
I've watched
If
so
I mess
many
up my
GTA
car,
speed runs that it's just like,
Oh no,
mean,
yeah.
it takes the, if you love speed runs, okay, cool, but like it takes the fun out of the game. Where for me, like,
one does not simply speed run Grand Theft Auto.
right? Because you miss all the cutscenes, you miss all the dialogue, you miss everything. You just boom, 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 get to the actions, cut things off, and it's like, okay, that's your thing. But like, there's so many jokes,
Did you ever see
especially
that?
in
Yeah, there's that super famous speed run of Morrowind. Have you ever seen that? Elder Scrolls 3. The guy beats the game in 13 minutes, a game that takes most people about 85 hours to finish. He beats in 13 minutes. He discovered that if you run diagonally, it's the speed going forward plus the speed of going right. So he just walks at an angle, finds that guy who has a super jump scroll on him, immediately runs straight there, grabs the super jump, jumps all the way across the entire game, lands at the Mages Guild, opens up this chest full of every enchantment of the game, casts and drinks every potion in the entire game in 1 second, kills the entire Mages Guild, super jumps to the last boss and kills him. And it's like, what the hell?
Damn.
Oh my god, that's like
I haven't seen it.
what is that?
Funny. I think the video is called, and it's a very famous video. I think it's called Morrowind is Not a Long Game. And it's just the weirdest, like, how did you even figure this out?
What is the game? It's like that Oblivion ripoff. Two Worlds, Twin Worlds.
Yeah, Two Worlds. Yeah, and then they had a sequel called Two Worlds 2.
And the first one can be finished in like 30 seconds because the final boss is standing right outside where you spawn. Oh, see, it's like I don't like that game breaking stuff. If that's you, cool. But like sometimes I just want to play to enjoy. I mean, Bully is my favorite game on the PS2.
Those games that people call like GTA clones, there's a couple of them that I'm like that I got attached to over time, and I'm not even talking about Saints Row. I'm talking about games like
Love Saints Row.
like True Crime.
True Crime, yeah, True Crime Street of LA, man, yeah.
Man, and then like being able to play with Snoop like on streets of LA, and then New York City was actually pretty dope too.
Yeah,
Those games were so good.
As much as I want it to continue, just like you talk about how Shenmue died so Yakuza could live, True Crime died so that Sleeping Dogs could live.
Yeah.
Sleeping Dogs died.
Yeah.
Sleeping Dogs didn't die. It was murdered.
Okay, Clean Prince.
They wanted to make another one. There's interesting developer interviews when they were making that game, when they were making Sleeping Dogs, where they tried to like go over to China and interview people about like, well, what's all this like? What's organized crime like? And they ended up actually being invited to like drug dens, and they were like these little pale programmers are like,
oh god,
we're kind of just want to talk about. But I mean, it seems like it made the game more authentic. The fact that they could actually physically walk around in all these black light districts and stuff and see what really is like. I feel like they really managed to capture that essence. And also the fact you could jump off a motorcycle and steal a car definitely makes it worth it.
Man,
That was so cool.
yes. If
Sleeping
you could do that
Dogs.
in GTA,
You guys remember? I remember getting a beta key for like the weird MMO they were trying to make, Sleeping Dogs Streets or something. I think the name was at the time, but it was like this weird
I know what you're
MMO.
talking about. I got the key, but I bought the game and it had one of those keys in there, but it was way after that beta was dead. And I never even knew what it was.
Oh,
Okay.
it was a weird MMO, kind of like a what could be the closest, like GTA Online almost, and it was just hella weird, and it never got past the beta stage. But I'm like, if they could have done something with this could have been amazing.
That's
So
how I feel about it.
random, like off the wall question: if you could have an MMO made, like you had all the money in the world and they can make any MMO you command them to, what would it be?
Are we
I
talking
mean-
licensed titles as well, like from a movie or
Got all
game?
the money in the world,
Oh, that's true.
make
Okay.
what you want.
I mean,
It could be Toy Story and it could be all in Andy's room. Anything.
not to cop out, but my perfect MMO already exists, and I don't want to simp for Square Enix, but Final Fantasy 14 is perfect. Final Fantasy 14 has job classes. I think the main story is genuinely well done. It's got great acting. It has good story twists. The entire community of Final Fantasy 14, that's the only game where you can fuck up, kill your entire group, and they go, LOL, it's all right. And everybody just jumps up and keeps playing. Like, everybody is so loving and nice in that game, and I just feel like it's so fun to play. It's one of those things where if I had a bunch of money and a time machine, I'd just try and make the exact same game.
You're not wrong.
That's dope.
I think
because that's with dot hack.
Oh yeah, heck,
Yeah.
like once VR becomes the thing that we know it'll be in like 20 years,
Yeah.
Did you know
as long as I don't die in the game and die in real life, we'll have
they made an actual dot hack MMO, like the version of the MMO you see in the show. They made that in real life only in Japan. It's called Fragment, but I never played it, obviously, and I heard it's awful.
That would crush my dreams because I was a big Die Hat fan.
Oh yeah, I got them all right here. All those super expensive ones.
Yeah, of course he does. It's like, hey, bitch, I got this. I gotta say,
your MMO choice?
And you guys know how much I hate this company, especially now, but like, my perfect MMO is ESO because I can drop in, drop out. Like, I like Final Fantasy 14, but ESO is my shit right now. I have very few games that I can dedicate time to daily, and that's one of them that I was like, I'll log in, see what the guild is doing, see what I need to do for the day, and then just log out. But that's my game. ESO's come a long way.
But Bethesda, I did a video about ESO years ago, and Bethesda put me on some weird list, so they've sent me all the expansions for free, and I've never even installed them, and I feel awful about it because I hear everybody tells me how good it is. So I think I'm finally going to try it and like install it and give it a shot at the point.
Especially with the Morrowind expansion. The Morrowind really did some things, and I'm like, okay, cool. I can get behind
that's
this.
my favorite part of the lore too. So I want to go to the land of Dagathur.
Oh, it's so good.
I don't know. So I used to talk. I was like following this so hard at one point. You remember when they were supposed to make a Dragon Ball MMO?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And like I followed development of that so hard, and I was so sad when like it ended up not being what we hoped it would be.
Didn't they have a closed beta for it? Because I think I watched my friend play it. Yeah, my friend played it, and yeah, it was not good. It was bad.
Yeah. And then they took that. What did they do with that? I think is they added some of what they were supposed to do there in Xenoverse Heroes, Dragon Ball Heroes or something.
Heroes,
yeah. So and they made that its own story. And so for a long time I thought Dragon Ball would have been like my dream MMO, but it's not. It's Naruto. The Ninja World. Everybody choose a village, start from that village, make a ninja from scratch, like action RPG gameplay. That would have been the perfect thing, the most perfect thing in the world.
It is, but I feel like I don't know, man. We'll see how it actually. I feel like the gaming community now is so hardcore and so focused. I feel like people would be up in the trees calling me the F word and stuff, like just running like ninjas. You'd be walking into like a ramen shop. There's 800 people named Baruto and Garuto and Faruto, all just sticking to the wall eating ramen. I'm like, okay, this is not what I expected.
I mean, some games and some things, like, the idea would be like a Mass Effect MMO, but I know it doesn't translate well into being an MMO because there's just not enough content outside the story. I mean, there probably is, but at the same time, there isn't.
Yeah.
Some games, I feel like would be so perfect if there was no such thing as gamers in a weird way. Like games, absolutely.
Well, I think that's why a lot of people like myself got obsessed with .hack, because .hack was the perfect MMO that was single player. It was polite people on specified quests trying to save the world. It was so interesting and fun. And sometimes when you play an actual game, you log in and someone just drops the N word, and it's like, okay, well, I wasn't expecting to have that in the lobby.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like, man. Oh yeah, .hack was the one, online game you could play where you could expect people to play the objective. It's crazy.
Playing an objective? What is that? What is this garbage you're speaking? I don't know this.
Right, it's quitter talk. Only quitters try and win.
Right?
Right. Have y'all been playing any Valorant? Sorry, Tom. Y'all play any Valorant?
I got a big issue with Valorant.
Tell them about your issue though.
Yeah, I'm curious. So I'm addicted to it personally. I've only been playing it about a week, but I love it so far.
So Valorant has the same issue that recently Doom Eternal has picked up. Valorant runs a anti-cheat software, but it runs at the 0 kernel, which 0 is administrator level. But it doesn't tell you it runs at 0 kernel, and it doesn't. It loads up as soon as you load your computer up. So the kernel is always running, doesn't matter if you play Valorant that day. So I'm like, I can't get behind something that has access to administrator level stuff on my computer when I'm not playing the game. So I'm like, when they change that, maybe I'll play Valorant. But until then, I can't.
So I'm a total computer. What does that mean though? Does that mean that it might be watching my files and is like looking at my nudes, or is it just
looking?
Is it just
it could be accessing anything that you, as the computer owner, has the access to with 0 kernel. It has access to.
That's so yeah.
And it doesn't tell you it does that.
Yeah, I had no idea. I had to shut it off. It actually crashes my editing program. So I have to shut it off, and then every time I'm going to play Valorant, I have to restart the computer so that it starts the anti-cheat stuff again. Such a pain. This
is like a Doom Eternal. They just put Denuvo in, and I have a long history with hating Denuvo. Dallas is like, shit, here we go.
They just announced a couple hours ago that they're removing it from Doom Eternal because of the fan feedback.
Because it's one of those. It's another one. It installs sneakily in your system, and it runs at the 0 kernel. It runs at the same level that you have access to in your computer, but it doesn't tell you it runs at the same thing. And they put it in weeks after launch, so it's like, okay, cool. Why do I need this right now? And Denuvo has just had a history. Denuvo was the one when Assassin's Creed Black Flag came out that it locked legitimate players out of the game. So Ubisoft didn't have access to Denuvo. They had to go in through the crackers versions of Black Flag and rehack the game so they could unlock the game on PC. It's bad. Denuvo doesn't deserve any spotlight.
All right, that's fair. I feel like that's a valid criticism. I feel like people talk about the nature of criticism. That, in my opinion, is a perfect criticism where it's like, I'm not ripping apart the game. I'm not saying the developers are bad people. I'm saying this execution of the process is morally incorrect.
Yeah. I go with the morals, like the culling. That's morally bankrupt.
Yeah. Oh God, that's so bad.
Oh man, insane.
So GameCube games. Let's just fire through them quick.
Wait, I got a quick question.
Titties.
How much time do we have?
Whenever the sushi gets here.
I mean, okay, so I just wanted to ask because I'm completely blind. I've never even seen a video of it. So as somebody who plays the game,
it's like, you're blind? You didn't tell me.
Valorant, it's a squad-based shooter, 1 life per round. You're trying to plant a bomb, and the other team's trying to defend the bomb. You take turns being on offense and defense. The main twist is that people have special abilities. There's hero classes, so people can create smoke barriers. Or my favorite is actually a healer. I'm the only person who can refill. So, Yeah, well, and it's such a game changer because it makes it where since the time to kill is so short, most people die in less than a second. If somebody does survive a fight, it's very helpful that I can go up there and like top off their health. So it has a very, very defined meta, and I feel like that's why I like it. I like that people have like roles and jobs and tasks. It's very good. I mean, obviously now I realize that it's looking at my nudes. I don't want to do this, but
so it's like super technical.
It is, yeah. It's definitely it is. There is a long way to play it. It's definitely one of those type of games where you were supposed to play it a certain way, and if you're not playing it that certain way, you just get your floor mopped. And that's definitely the frustrating part. Is that like for the first like 6 hours of the game, people are just going to grind your face into the dirt. But once you get it used to it, I actually think it's very fun. I play with most of my real life friends are female, and they're all really into it right now. So I play like they call it the girls team, and we play it, and they all just experiment, and it's so fun to just learn the maps and mow people down and then go in voice chat and be like, you got beaten by girls. I go, yeah, I also have a vag.
Yeah, some people.
Snap.
So fly through these GameCube top 25 games, but I'm going to go with the console exclusives. Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem, great game. WarioWare, Luigi's Mansion, Skies of Arcadia Legend, Killer 7, I feel like that wasn't an exclusive.
I think it was for a while. I think it didn't come to another. It was one of those like time exclusives.
It came to PS2 at some point, didn't it?
I think it came to Xbox.
Yeah.
Might be correct.
Because I'm thinking of 13, which is a different game.
Yeah.
Resident Evil 4, which is probably before it came to PC and stuff, was the best version. Metroid Prime 2 Echoes. Pimpkin, or Pikmin. Oh my god!
Pikmin.
I was like, I can't read. Paper Mario.
Super Mario Sunshine is definitely on there somewhere.
Super Mario, yeah. Fire Emblem Path of Radiance, Soul Calibur 2.
Crystal Chronicles is probably on there somewhere too.
Mario Kart Dash, I can bet you it's not. Star Wars Rogue Squadron 2, Rogue Leader, I just played that. It's pretty good. Pikmin 2, Super Mario Sunshine, Animal Crossing. Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, that should not be on here.
I disagree. That should be on there. GameCube version.
It's just.
Is it just me? Am I tripping or did y'all just freeze? Oh, y'all back, but I mean, for a second, y'all was like.
Super Smash, Melee, Wind Waker, and Metroid Prime.
Those are all good.
Those last few games definitely deserve it.
I actually tracked down all there's a bunch. There's a surprising
Look at this bitch. She like, gotcha.
Yeah, right. The games on GameCube. I haven't tracked them all down. But my favorite is definitely if you pre-ordered Wind Waker, because Wind Waker's sales were so bad, they were trying to boost it. If you pre-ordered Wind Waker and fully paid it off, they gave you a promotional disc that actually has all the older Zeldas on it. So you can actually play even, Majora's Mask. So I have the special mod by GameCube HDMI. So I can play Majora's Mask, Ocarina of Time, maybe the originals in full HD because of this weird disc. So I love it.
Oh, I want that. I will go on a search.
He coming over to your house.
I will go on a search.
I kept the receipt in my box because I paid 1 penny for this. 1 penny for this game that's now worth like hundreds of dollars. Because I'm one of those people, not only do I get good deals, but I'm like really like, I like to remember my good deals for some reason.
Sometimes you just gotta, you know?
Okay, so usually that's something to make fun of somebody for. I'm not even gonna lie. I probably roast you. But in this case, you got away with paying 1 penny for all the old Legend of Zelda games. Like,
it's one of those things of like, it's like, why'd you just give it to me at that point? Like 1 penny, like, yeah, sure, we pull out of the couch there, buddy. Thanks for all the games.
Yeah, like, no, that's dope. That's dope as hell.
Xbox games: Steel Battalion, Burnout 3 Takedown, Star Wars 2. Nope, we already covered that. Oddworld Stranger's Wrath. Never played that one.
I never played Strangers, man.
No. Forza Motorsports. Man, Beyond Good and Evil is just popping the hell up. Fable.
That's one of them.
Do you want to talk about Fable?
Oh man, I hope it comes back like better than ever. Back end is better, like Bryson Tiller. Like, I don't know. I'm really just gonna like let that live and let it be what it is, because I'm probably one of the few people that liked Fable 1 as like the best game. You know what I mean?
I end up getting a sandwich. Everything's closed. It's almost 10 p.m. here in Texas, and sometimes, especially on weekdays, they shut everything down at like 9 p.m.
Yeah. So we're talking about Fable.
Yeah, love me some Fable for sure.
I might be one of the few people that feel like I liked the more medieval it was, the better it was to me. So, and the more magical it was, the better it was to me. So, the first Fable was actually my favorite.
I liked them all. The second and third get a lot of hate, and I played them all at release. So maybe it's that I had the bubble of nostalgia, but I like the whole trilogy a lot.
Did you play the what was it?
Lost Chapters?
Exactly.
Yeah, I actually I have both versions of it because I'm that kind of nerd. See?
Nerd.
So people don't know this, but when they were releasing Fable, they kind of had to like hurry up and release it, and so there was all this cut content, including an original ending that got scrapped. So later on, they decided to re-release it with all the cut content. It's the definitive edition. So,
damn.
Yeah, that was actually top 5 favorite games on OG Xbox. I got an OG Xbox sitting back there somewhere. I need to play at some point.
If you end up playing with the HDMI cables now, they've made a bunch of cheap HDMI cables for original Xbox, PS2, and GameCube now. Well, the GameCube one's expensive, but the ones for Xbox and PS2 are dirt cheap. Like most are under $20, and they help. They help it clean up a lot.
Thank God, because some of those games, oof.
Oh yeah, definitely. Muddy as hell.
So
Crimson Sky. Oh, we're not done yet, Dallas. Crimson Skies. Oh, God, a lot of these are cross platforms. Jade Empire's on here. Panzer Dragoon, Orta, Chronicles of Riddick, Escape from Butcher Bay, although that's on PC.
I love that game.
That was a good one, yeah.
That game is a bitch to run on PC. Oh my God.
I like
Ninja
that game
Gaiden.
so much. If you buy that, they've made a sequel on Xbox 360 that nobody talks about called Escape from Dark Athena. And they just, without even announcing it, if you buy Escape on Dark Athena, it has like a remastered version of Riddick for Xbox 360 on it. And it just don't talk about it. Just like, oh yeah, so if you buy it, there's 2 games on
it. That is a good game. Like, don't play it on PC because it is a bitch to get running. But like, if you can find that, and then Halo Combat Evolved and Halo 2. For Xbox.
Game changers, love them.
Both like one of my favorites on Xbox.
I always felt like it feels like the spiritual sequel in a way to GoldenEye, because I feel like GoldenEye was so based on couch co-op versus, and it felt like such a great continuation of that. Like it's couch co-op versus, but you can also plug your Xbox into somebody else's Xbox and mess them up. I love that.
Yep. And the handhelds. What do you want, Dallas? Huh?
I didn't hear the original Ninja Gaiden on that list.
Oh, I said it.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, my bad.
Because I was trying to go with not cross platform stuff, because Ninja Gaiden is not cross platform anymore, at least. The handhelds are on DS and PSP.
Yeah, I'm a big PSP fanboy. I can objectively say the DS is better. The DS sold more, but I have so many PSP memories. One of the things I love most about PSP that's so underrated was that TV out cable. It was so cool to have like handheld games, all these weird exclusives like Metal Gear Peace Walker and Acid, and they actually put a prequel Silent Hill game on their Origins, and it was so cool to play like RPGs and stuff on my handheld and go home and plug it into my TV so I could play. So there were a lot of exclusives on there. Like one of the ones I like is the Final Fantasy IV Complete Collection.
Ooh.
And it's like the best version of Final Fantasy IV. I'm trying to like pull this out here, and it's so freaking good. And it's one of those things of the Complete Collection. It actually had all this exclusive content. It was cool to be able to play it on my TV as well. So I feel like I'm so into the PSP to this day.
Yeah, definitely. Crisis Core is still one of my favorite PSP games.